Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and first of all, thank you all so much. We did it. We passed 2,000 subscribers and over 200,000 total views on this channel. Like, are you kidding me? I did not think I would be in this position by any means, and if you've been following me long enough, then you know well that is the truth. I thought luckily maybe I could hit 1,000 subscribers by the year's end, and we did that over a month ago now, and now we're past 2,000 subs. You guys are amazing. I simply cannot thank you enough. Pat yourself on the back for being a part of this family in the Wardy NHL community here, and trust me guys, this is just the beginning. We have a lot of great content that is still yet to be seen on the channel, and truly this is just the start of something amazing going forward, and I can only imagine where we are going to be a year from now. So seriously, thank you all again guys. It means a ton. For the countless love, support, and appreciation, it goes a long way. I make acknowledgement of it, and if I say I have missed comments here or there, I apologize. I try to do my best, but seriously know that you are all loved and appreciated, and I simply cannot thank you all once again. But without further ado guys, let's talk about the Ottawa Senators. I touched on them a week ago with Mike from Top Shelf Hockey. That was an amazing discussion, just under an hour long, I believe, talking about the Senators and why they have one of the brightest futures in all of the NHL, between their offseason moves, their draft, their prospect pool, everything in between. So make sure to check out that video after this, and I'll have it in the description down below, and one of my more recent videos, so make sure to check it out if you haven't guys. But also, we are breaking down the top 10 prospects for this Ottawa Senators team that has the best prospect pool, in my mind at least, in the entire NHL. What they have done between the draft and really this rebuild over the past couple years has been tremendous in their farm system. It is electrifying is truly something in the making, and they very well could go down as a dynasty over this next decade. Time will tell, but there's a lot of good reasons to be excited, and a lot of prospects that couldn't even make my list because of just how deep they are. Where a lot of these guys that I won't be mentioning, I'll have them as honorable mentions probably, will be guys that could easily be between top 5 and even top 3 for opposing prospect pools in the NHL today. So that's just absurd. I can't wait to get into this video though guys. It was a lot of fun, and make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below for your top 10 if it's different than mine by any means. But thank you all so much guys for 2K subscribers once again. Let's get into this video. Starting off, we have centerman Ridley Gregg, who was drafted in the first round this past year in the 2020 NHL draft by the Ottawa Senators with the 28th overall pick, if my memory serves me correct. Gregg is a very interesting player, and in my mind is deserving of being in this top 10. I understand the arguments to say not have him there, especially because he was just drafted, but a couple things just stand out to me on the forefront regarding Gregg and his game. One, the fact that he did land in the first round in a draft class that was viewed by many as the deepest in quite some time, offensively speaking. That is a huge plus to him there, cracking that that first round over plenty of other very strong winners past the first round into the second, third, and beyond. And Gregg is a very pesky player. He's one of the peskiest players coming into this draft class for sure, and he is definitely going to have a mark with this Ottawa Senators team, and it's going to help bring this grit. And yes, he might not have the size on his side, with only being 5'11", 162 pounds, but the centerman will do anything and everything to help his team win. He's very pesky, as I mentioned. Make sure you check out some of his highlights if you haven't. He's a fantastic player, and is definitely going to be one to get under the skin and really be a pain in the neck for the opposing teams at the NHL level once he hits there. But that has been a key component to his game, with making him round out to being a first-round prospect. Besides his overall skills between his playmaking and his overall offensive awareness are very strong. Nothing flashy when it comes to the playmaking and say the goal scoring, but he has all the tools to make things happen, and really has the potential to be in the NHL for a significant period of time. Gregg, when you look at him playing with the Brandon Wheat Kings in the WHL this past season, had 60 points in 50 games, including 24 goals and 26 goals and 34 assists. Truly a stud, a remarkable player, a guy that everyone loves to have on their team and that everyone absolutely hates to go up against him. That's the type of mentality and game he brings to the table for the Ottawa Senators, and balancing that mix of, say, having more skilled players as you will, not saying that Gregg isn't skilled, because he is, but having that mix of and that balance of having highly skilled prospects, which they have, having more grittier guys that can still put up the points. Gregg is a prime example of that in my opinion. Like I said, he's not big body by any means, but he is almost Max Domi-esque in that aspect, where he can be very pesky and even beyond that, if you will. He just has a lot of great tools, a little raw in some aspects of his game still, but I expect him to hit the NHL within these next couple of years, and he's really going to be something for the Senators team that is just oozing with offensive talent in that prospect pool. Next up, we have at number 9, one of the more underappreciated players, in my opinion, in this prospect pool, and that is Thompson. Thompson is a really another interesting prospect as well, originally drafted in the first round back in 2019 by the Ottawa Senators, and he is really turning into a steal and a stud for this Ottawa Senators team. The right-handed defenseman, he's 6 foot, 190 pounds, but he really plays bigger than his size, in my opinion. Every single thing that I've seen of him between game clips and watching portions of his games, because he currently plays in Liga, the Finnish Elite League, he really looks bigger statured than what he's made out to be, and I think that's impressive. He has that size to be in the NHL, possibly as soon as next season. We'll see what time will tell, but thus far in Liga this year, in the 2020-2021 season, he has 2 points in 11 games, just 2 assists, but Thompson has a very strong skill set as a puck-moving defenseman. You can catch him in that bringing up the rush 5-on-5 and having a great right-hand shot in that left dot on the power play. He has some highlight reel goals, and he can even control the power play as that quarterback if need be. He has an unbelievable skill set and is really one that's going to be eye-opening on this blue line, possibly alongside Thomas Chabot in the future. I know that they have Brandstrom among others that could possibly be ahead of him, but nonetheless, he's going to add to this defensive depth that's already huge for the Ottawa Senators in the prospect pool, and really looks like he's going to be something at the NHL level sooner rather than later. Just 2 years ago, he was originally playing in juniors in Canada, but then he went to play in Liga, where he's been these past really since then, and he has been solid. I believe in his junior year, he had just over 40 points and just around 60 plus games, and since then, the offensive production hasn't been there as much, but he's still been a very productive player in Liga, might I add, which is one of the best men's league in all of Europe and all the world when it comes to hockey. So he can still put up the points. A little bit of a slow start in his point production this year, but nonetheless, that doesn't phase him. I think there's so much to give Thompson, a very underrated prospect for the Ottawa Senators, and is definitely deserving, in my mind, of being in the top 10 for their prospect pool. Next up, we have at number 8, the centerman in Shane Pinto, one of my favorite prospects out of this entire prospect pool for the Ottawa Senators. Being a New York native, that definitely has that touch. I've been following him for quite some time, and Pinto has been an absolute stud. Already a steal in my mind as a second-round pick back in 2019 by the Ottawa Senators. Playing with North Dakota this year in college, he had an amazing season for them, including 28 points in 33 games, so just under a point per game by 5 games. But regardless, those 16 goals, 12 assists, Pinto is fantastic. The 6'2", 192 pound centerman right-handed shot is very similar to a lot of other guys that you may see on this list as a right-handed shot that can be in the left dot on the power play. Slamming those 1-Ts, did it tremendously, endless times with North Dakota. That also has multiple other prospects that the Ottawa Senators know, one being in Jacob Bernard-Docker. But nonetheless, he has been amazing. He uses his frame to his advantage one-on-one. He can get in front of the net, get in the nitty-gritty. That does not faze him. He has strong hands. He can make those deflections happen, and really he's just a smooth playmaker and has great offensive IQ and awareness. Really, as soon as he enters the zone, he makes these happen. He can slow down the game quite a bit too, and burst with acceleration out of nowhere. Even with the size of being 6'2", nothing is stopping this guy, and he's really going to be a stud for the Ottawa Senators. And it'll be interesting to see how he fits in the Sens lineup, and I know some may argue they have him higher on their list. I completely understand that this is a very debatable list, but it's all in fun at the end because of just how deep this prospect pool is. There's nothing to be upset about at all, and Pinto has been an absolute stud in his short time in college thus far, and I'm extremely excited to see what the future holds for him. Like I said, between his great shot with that right-hand shot in the left dot, between his hands, getting those deflections in, those tip-ins, whatever it may be, being a strong playmaker, just crashing the net as much as humanly possible. He makes things happen for his teammates as well. He gets in those open slots that maybe weren't open originally, but he makes things happen. He moves around and he gets it there. So seriously, Shane Pinto, an absolute stud. I cannot say enough good things about him. And he also had 7 points, I believe, and 7 points, or maybe it was 8 points. I think 7 points in 5 games for Team USA in the World Junior Championship this past year, including 4 goals and 3 assists, I believe. But nonetheless, Pinto, a great player, really another underrated one because of how deep this prospect pool is, and he is a guy I am truly ecstatic to see hit the NHL. At number 7, we have left winger Alex Formenton, and oh my god, is this guy something. You want to talk about good prospects, guys that are so underrated as well because of just how deep this prospect pool is. Look no look no further, I should say, than Alex Formenton. Originally drafted in the second round by the Ottawa Senators in 2019, he has not skipped a beat. He's already had his NHL debut with 9 games this past season, including 1 goal in the process. Formenton, 6'3", 190-pound left winger, is so reminiscent in my mind as Chris Kreider and how he really commands himself and even has some better aspects of his game, but he's very reminiscent, taking down the puck, whether it's down that left side, especially really dragging the puck along with the defenseman, and just his big body is making up for all the work, and he gets that forehand backhand shot in, maybe he just gets a quick pullback shot, and whatever it may be, he makes breakaways happen on almost an every given night, and he is so high flying, and as a 6'3", just under 200-pound winner, that is something you should be tremendously proud of. This guy has all the skills it takes to be at the NHL level, and he did not skip a beat. In his debut year with the AHL team for the Ottawa Senators, playing out of Belleville, he had, get ready for this, 53 points in 61 games. Like, are you kidding me? He has been absolutely tremendous for the Ottawa Senators since he was first drafted. 27 goals, 26 assists. It really doesn't get that much better in your debut year playing for the Ottawa Senators, at least in their AHL team, in which they have been stacked these past couple of years because of this great prospect pool. And Formenton is definitely going to be making a case to be in this lineup next season, and for good reason. Another big-bodied guy, and if you see this trend that I've been having, not just in this list, but with their prospect pool overall, most of the Ottawa Senators' top prospects are big in stature on the offensive front. Whether they're centermen or wingers, they're all big guys, which really shows just how dominant this team could be with not just the skill level, but the size level as well. And Formenton has great playmaking abilities. He has smooth hands as well. He can deflect, tip in those shots, just crash a net in so many different ways, but his speed is by far the biggest X factor. He has been tremendous. You should be really excited about Alex Formenton, not even if you're a Senators fan, but if you're a hockey fan. This guy has so much to give. I cannot say enough good things about him, and he is one that I will be very surprised if he plays an entire year in the AHL next year. I really think he has potential being the NHL as an NHL mainstay sooner rather than later, because his speed is electric. He has the puck positioning when it comes to staying on the puck. He's not knocked off the puck easy by any means because of how big and strong and fast he is. He's nimble at the same time too. He really isn't raw in much aspects of his game, and nonetheless, I'm really excited to see what Formenton is going to do at the NHL level. Ottawa Senators fans, you have reasons to be really excited about this guy. At number 6, we have centerman Logan Brown. Brown is a really interesting story as well, because he was originally drafted in the first round, 11th overall, I believe, by the Senators, but back in 2016. So he's one of those more established rookies, if you will, that really hasn't fully made that jump to the NHL level. He played just under 25 games in the regular season last year, 23 to be exact, with the Ottawa Senators. So that's why he is still classified as a prospect, because I do believe you need to play at least 25 games or more in a season. So not in total in a season. So that is why Brown is still here, but still has a lot of potential, and a guy that I'm really curious to see your thoughts in the comments below, where you would have him in your top 10, because there was definitely an argument to have him in my top 5 given how established he is, but at the same time, I felt comfortable with him here at 6. Brown, another big-bodied guy, the centerman, left-handed shot. He's 6'6", 220 pounds, and that is evident in his game, no question. He is so strong on the body. He's great on the puck. He's not easy to get knocked off of by any means, and he's a playmaker through and through. Yes, he can score goals, but that is not his cup of tea, at this point, at least in his hockey career. Brown, in 23 games played this past season, 23, I should say, for the Ottawa Senators, gained some time in the NHL. He had a total of 8 points, including 1 goal and 7 assists. So not bad numbers there. And in the AHL this past year, in just around not even 30 games, he had 28 points in 25 games to be exact, including 7 goals at least. So nonetheless, Brown, definitely a playmaker through and through. He's defensively responsible. He is raw in some aspects of his game still. I'm curious to see, when is he going to really make the commitment to being that full NHLer that everyone is predicting him to be. He's a guy that had a lot of potential coming into his draft year, as have a lot of these other guys, but Brown, now being drafted in 2016, I know it's not a long time ago, but he has a lot of competition at that center position in itself. So things are not going to get any easier for him to say crack the lineup, let alone have a significant part. So we'll see what happens there. but I really like Brown and his game. He's a big body, and if he can just round out his game and really become more of a reliable NHL mainstay, then things are going to be great for him in Ottawa in this full rebuild. He's been a part of it all. He's been there since it really started, before they even fully committed to the rebuild. So it just shows you, I know it may not seem that long, but comparing to these other guys on this list that you'll see today that you haven't already, it just goes to show how deep this prospect pool is and how Logan Brown could be on the odd man looking out. Maybe sooner rather than later for Ottawa, but I think for his case, he's going to have a strong shot next year to be that mainstay. He needs to prove himself, and I think he will sooner rather than later. A strong skill set, very superb playmaking ability, and is really a guy that any team in the NHL would love to really take a chance on and hope that he can come into a form what everyone was originally predicting him to be when he was drafted 11th overall in the 2016 draft. With the number 5 of this prospect pool in their top prospects, the Ottawa Senators have, yes, Jacob Bernard Docker. This guy is amazing, flat out, so underappreciated among NHL prospects as it is, as a high-flying, puck-moving two-way defenseman. And when you look at Ottawa's blue line as it is right now, it is far better than what I originally thought it was made out to be earlier this year. I'm happy that I was able to break down these prospects better and really get an understanding as to how good their defensive prospects are. And Bernard Docker is a guy that a lot of people have predicted to be between top 3 and top 4 of this prospect pool. So I have him here at 5, but I completely understand those arguments. Bernard Docker, playing with North Dakota along with Shane Pinto, as we know, has been an absolute stud. The right-handed defenseman is 6 foot, 181 pounds, originally drafted in 2018 in the first round by the Sens, and he just displays an amazing set of skills, offensively speaking, and his transition game is very solid as well. He's a guy that can bring up the puck as that puck-moving defenseman, as that power play quarterback. He can get that shot off in every which way, similar to a lot of these other guys in that left dot with the right-hand shot, getting those 1-2s in, being very precise with his playmaking as well, and he just makes so much happen in that offensive zone. If you look at what he did for North Dakota this past year, he had 25 points in 32 games, including 7 goals, so really solid there, and a guy that is not getting enough credit or attention in my mind comparing a lot of the other puck-moving defensemen in the NHL today. Bernard Docker, will be curious to see how much longer he stays with North Dakota, because I don't believe he signed his ELC as of yet, so probably at least another year, which would make sense because it won't just be him and Shane Pinto, but also Jake Sanderson, another coveted Ottawa Senators prospect. So a lot of things to be excited about in that own right, but regardless, Bernard Docker has a fantastic set of skills, really a fast-moving, high-flying, puck-moving two-way defenseman that could have great longevity in the NHL today, as we have seen more and more defensemen as of late over these past couple of years coming into the league really having superb two-way game, and Bernard Docker would definitely add on to that list. So be excited about Bernard Docker. He has a lot of potential, high-flying defenseman with a great shot and superb playmaking ability, and is going to add to the great depth that Ottawa Senators blue line has, offensively speaking as well, because you don't just have Shabbat, you don't just have Brandstrom, you don't have Thompson, you don't have these other guys, you have Bernard Docker there too, and before you know it, they could have each pair with a significant two-way defenseman that will get you a good amount of points each year. You should be very excited, Senators fans. Bernard Docker is definitely the real deal. Next up, at number 4, we have centerman / right winger in Drake Batherson. Batherson is such an amazing and fun story. Originally drafted back in 2017 by the Senators in the 4th round, Batherson has done everything he possibly can, giving 150% on and off the ice every single game to really prove that he is deserving to be in the NHL sooner rather than later. He's already played in parts these past few years for the Ottawa Senators. It was 20 games 2 seasons ago, and this past season he played 23 games in the NHL and had a total of 10 points, including 3 goals and 7 assists. Batherson is a goal scorer, another right-hand shot that can of course play both the wing and the center, so there is some flexibility there with this depth at center as it is, but nonetheless Batherson has been killing it, and at the AHL level this past year had 54 points in 44 games, including 16 goals and 38 assists. This guy has been lights out. He has been dominant in every single league that he has been a part of, and was really a late bloomer, if you will, because he was one of the older guys in his draft, part of the reason why he fell all the way to the 4th round, but he has not skipped a beat, and is giving the Ottawa Senators every reason imaginable, even with how deep this prospect pool is, to be a crucial part of their future going forward, as soon as next season as part of this rebuild, no doubt in my mind. He has a wicked shot. He will shoot the puck really anywhere that he has it, whether he's in that left dot with a right-hand shot, that slapper, whether he's taking up the puck on the right side on the wing and doing a slapper there or a nice wrister. He can deflect the puck. He can make playmaking situations happen. He can really do it all for the Ottawa Senators, and is a guy that is really eye-opening to me. I love his story. He has been a grinder every which way in his young hockey career, and is really one that I hope, for his sake at least, gets a crucial part of this Ottawa Senators roster, being part of their lineup, not just next season, but for the years going forward. He has an amazing set of skills. I love his game, every single thing about him. He's not a defensive liability by any means either. He just makes so many things happen in that offensive zone, and is very reminiscent of a lot of other guys per se in this prospect pool. But what really stands out to him over a lot of the others is he's a grinder. Again, he gives it all every single time he's on the ice and will not take no for an answer. And that is what I love most about his game, and surely believes he is going to have a crucial part to this Ottawa Senators future over this next 5-10 plus years. Next up, at number 3, we have centerman Josh Norris, one of the most coveted guys in this prospect pool, and one of the main reasons as to why they are so excited as Senators fans, as hockey fans, for having a promising future. Norris was originally dealt by the San Jose Sharks in part of that package with Erik Karlsson going the other way, and wow, was that paying off a dividends for the Ottawa Senators looking back. Yes, I know it hurt at the time, but that trade has really come full circle in Ottawa's favor, and Josh Norris is a guy who went far and away above expectations, especially in his first year in the AHL last year. And I believe he was he had the most points out of all rookies in the AHL last year. He was just absolutely dominant, allowed a lot of these other key guys in their first year in the AHL for the Senators AHL team, including guys like Formanton, and having more seasoned guys, whether it's Batherson among others. A lot of great things, and Brandstrom too. But nonetheless, Josh Norris, what a story he is. He's 6'1", 192 pounds, left-handed shot, and Norris had 61 points in 56 games, including 31 goals and 30 assists in the AHL. He's a goal scorer, but he's just such a well-balanced forward. He will do it all for you in the offensive zone, has a strong transition game as well. He's not much of a defensive liability either, and he is a guy who can really be a crucial part to this Ottawa Senators team, being as one of their top centermen going forward. He's going to be competing for a spot in that top 6, that top 9 next year, and for good reason. He has all the potential in the world to be that next number 1 for the Ottawa Senators, or at least a fringe number 1, maybe more so a number 2, depending on, say, one other guy, but we'll get to him shortly. But nonetheless, Josh Norris has been amazing. Really, I cannot say enough good things about this guy. His playmaking, his shot, that left-hand shot and the right dot on the power play. We've seen a lot of righties on this list. It's about time we got a lefty in the mix in here too. And Norris, very smooth skater. He's fast. He can accelerate. He's strong on the puck one-on-one, taking it down the boards to crash the net. He'll get those tipping goals. He'll get those more grittier goals. He'll be right in front of the net whenever. But regardless, he can take up the rush. He can slow down the game. He can be huge for them 5-on-5 and special teams. And when you look at the Senators prospect pool, them in itself could command an amazing power play as it is. So I can't wait to see what he's going to do at the NHL level. But Norris truly has all the skills and all the potential to be that guy. Again, he was originally drafted in 2019, the first round by the San Jose Sharks, so later round draft pick, I believe. But nonetheless, a lot of reasons to be excited with Norris, one of the most coveted guys in this prospect pool, and a lot of people have him as the best prospect the Ottawa Senators have to offer, even with other guys that I will mention shortly. And that is just telling of how good he is and how good he is going to be at the NHL level as soon as next season, hopefully. Next up, at number 2, we have one of the multiple draft picks the Ottawa Senators had from the 2020 NHL draft, and this is Jake Sanderson, the left-hand defenseman, bigger body defenseman, at least height-wise, who went to the Ottawa Senators at number 5. And while I didn't necessarily love that pick for Ottawa, I would have liked to see them go with a guy, more of a hometown guy playing with the 67s and Marco Rossi, because I love him in itself. But I'm not going to belittle his game or anything like that. He's a very strong defenseman and has a very bright future with the Ottawa Senators. In my opinion, I would have liked them to go with Rossi there. But nonetheless, Sanderson has so much to give for this Ottawa Senators team, and is really going to make them maybe forget about missing up a guy like Marco Rossi if he goes on to be the NHL player that a lot of people presume he's going to be. Sanderson, originally drafted obviously this year in 2020, the left-handed defenseman. He's 6'2", 185 pounds, and he was playing with the U.S. National Development Team, was their best player by far this year. It was depleted after losing a lot of guys in that first and second round in the 2019 draft, with Cole Caulfield being the most notable and Alex Turcotte. But nonetheless, in 19 games played, he had 14 points, including 2 goals and 12 assists. Sanderson, he's not overly flashy with his offensive game. He's a strong two-way defenseman that has some offensive upside, but you're really not banking on that with him. What you're banking on with Sanderson is to be in the NHL as soon as humanly possible. He is committed to North Dakota, I believe, so he will be playing with guys like Pinto, and Jacob Bernard Dockery. So that's going to be exciting in itself. But assuming he's in college for a year or two, then he'll hit the AHL level. I don't think he'll get much of any time in the AHL. Sanderson is that guy who's going to eat minutes for you. We're talking 20 to even upwards of 23 minutes a night. Normally what Shabbat does. That is the type of defenseman that they're bringing in. A reliable guy and a guy who has a strong ceiling to be a very strong two-way defenseman, more stay-at-home defenseman in the AHL for 10, 15 plus years. He has that length with him. He has that reliability to be in the AHL long-term and be a very strong two-way defenseman. His transition game is really superb. He's amazing in his own zone, and is a guy that going fifth overall in a draft class like this in 2020 is nothing to be ashamed of. If anything, you should be like, wow, I can't believe that just happened because of how deep this draft class was. Think about it. The amount of guys that went after Sanderson is just proof of how good he is, because this was not a defensively heavy minded draft by any means. And you had Sanderson even go past guys like Jamie Drysdale, which is just crazy. But that's the reality of it. That's how good Sanderson is. That's why he's so coveted, and he is going to be a pivotal part to this Ottawa Senators blue line over this next decade. No doubt in my mind. Him behind Shabbat, for instance, or maybe they'll play together. I think he'll probably be behind him though, regardless. And a lot of things to be excited about with Sanderson. He has all the tools to really be an NHL mainstay and be a reliable and confident defenseman, one of the better defensemen in all of the NHL over these next 5-10 years. A lot of reasons to be excited about him. And now we have number one. At number one, we have centerman / winger, left winger, and Tim Stutzle. Stutzle, what can I say? If you've been following the channel, then you know how high I view this guy. I even had him going at number 2 over Byfield towards when we got closer and closer to the draft time. I just think he's that good. Yes, I know he's out with injury currently because I believe he had surgery on his hand. I know the original reports were arm, but I think it was hand. So if I am wrong, though, let me know in the comments below, because I know that was confusing when it first broke. Him obviously playing his second year in Dell. But Stutzle has just climbed through the draft boards over this past year, playing in Dell as an 18-year-old, the German men's league, and had 34 points in 41 games, including 7 goals and 27 assists. Stutzle, he's not overly flashy when it comes to his speed, but he's a very superb skater by far. His acceleration is chef's kiss, and one-on-one he's just amazing, even as a 6'1", 187-pound winger, playing both the center and the wing. I believe he can play both the left and the right wing, all depending on his situation. So he has that versatility there, but through and through he is a centerman. Of course, you can find him in that right dot with a left-handed shot on the power play as well. Another guy to be excited about. His playmaking ability is just ridiculous. His hockey IQ entering the offensive zone, he slows down the game. He could have 3 defensemen on him, and even though he's not even really that big and 6'1", just under 180, he can get around these guys with fairly easy. Like he has smooth hands. He's Patrick Kane reminiscent-esque in that aspect of his game. His hand-eye coordination is fantastic. His offensive awareness overall is just great. His defensive game isn't terrible by any means either. He's not going to be much of a liability, if at all. If anything, he might just be superior as his game grows. Stutzle has the chance to be the face of the franchise for the Ottawa Senators with a prospect pool that is nothing to scoff at. Truly the best in the NHL currently. He has all the skills, all the tools that he's going to be competing for that top 6 spot with the Ottawa Senators next season, and for good reason. I cannot say enough good things about this guy. He's just absolutely phenomenal. And yes, I know the Senators didn't win the first overall pick, but hey, you got a guy like Tim Stutzle who is surely going to be something at the NHL level, and is a guy that could really be the full front leader along with guys like Shabbat, and whether it's Kachuk, among others, in this offense going forward as the face of the franchise for a team that very well could be a dynasty. Time will tell, as I mentioned, but so much reasons to be excited about this guy, between his goal scoring, his playmaking, his shot, his hands, how nifty, he's smooth. Have you seen his highlights? If you haven't, make sure you check them out. This guy really has it all, and I'm ecstatic to see him in the Calder race, assuming next season, with a lot of great prospects we're going to see at the NHL level. But Tim Stutzle, book him. He's the top prospect for the Ottawa Senators. And that's going to conclude this video, guys. I know it was a little bit of a long one, but I want to get all my opinions out. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Who are your top 10 Ottawa Senators prospects if if your list is in disagreement with mine? Make sure to let me know if you agree, disagree with my list, how you feel about it, and would you like to see more lists like this going forward? And if so, what teams? I already have an idea in my mind. I will probably be working on them later today after this is posted, and I'll have them up within the coming days. So a lot of great prospect pools. A lot of them need to be broken down, and a lot of exciting prospects in the NHL. Some of the most exciting ones that I've ever seen in my lifetime, that's for sure. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, guys, thank you so much for 2,000 subscribers again. Now let's hit that subscribe and like button to get to 3K. I know we will get there sooner rather than later because, again, you guys are all amazing and awesome. So let me know your thoughts. As always, guys, check out previous videos. Check out my previous video regarding the Ottawa Senators with Mike from Top Shelf Hockey, breaking down everything there is to know about them and their future for the next decade. Make sure to check out my most previous video in that series with NHL teams with the brightest futures with Gio Lego Rocks 99 talking about the Los Angeles Kings and breaking down their prospect pool. Check out all the other videos I have in my redraft as well if you're interested in that. It's mixing it up on the channel. I might do more in the future, but we will see. Seriously, thank you all so much, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe, all those great things, and I'll be back real soon.